we should be aware that we are in an ashram. And an ashram is supposed to be a place of meditation, repose, quiet, introspection, and relaxation all round. It comes from the word Shreyas. You know, in the philosophies we have two types of welfare, Shreyas and Preyas. Preyas is of the worldly welfare, you know, like having a family, connubial bliss, material possessions, progress, children, grandchildren, you know, that sort of thing. That is Preyas. Shreyas is where one has a spiritual life of inner well-being, a composed comportment, balanced existence, neither good nor bad, but in between. Illat, killat, zillat being predominant, which, as I explained, means not too much money, or rather little less than what we should need, little less than good health, and lot of critics. So that is the spiritual life. And this concept, Lalaji Maharaj and Babuji Maharaj have modified, that even this is not correct. Because then either you are Preyas or you are Shreyas. And the Preyas lives in the world, among the worldly people, becomes a worldly person himself, with his concentration all on material welfare, material pleasures, material well-being. The Shreyas people go off into the hills, sit under trees like this one, meditate, to the exclusion of the world. They obtain liberation or not, we don't know. Many were supposed to have been eaten up by tigers. Many died when they went to the Ganga for their bath early morning. And many were not known of later. And many, of course, surfaced much later in history as great rishis and sages. My master always said that a man of spirituality has to live in this world also, whether in a jungle or in a teeming city with its huge population, with its material offerings, its temptations, its accidents. And he has to balance his existence between the two. No rishi can live without eating, bathing, and going to the toilet. Three fundamental needs of all human beings, whether saint or sinner, whether poor or rich. So Sahaj Marg is a balance between Shreyas and Preyas. An inner life of Shreyas, an outer life of moving away out of Preyas, more and more, towards Shreyas, but ultimately culminating in a physical life which demands the minimum of physical material welfare and goes on towards inner peace, inner calm, inner satisfaction, inner harmony, towards the goal of human life, which is perfection. So the teaching of Sahaj Marg is quite different, often, from the teaching of traditional Veda or the traditional yoga, yogic systems, yogic philosophies. We don't seek exclusion or exclusive peace for ourselves. We seek peace for the whole world. When this question of service came up, you know, in India, traditionally, poor feeding, giving clothes to the poor, these are supposed to be very meritorious deeds enjoined by the scriptures. Babuji said this anybody with money can do. He is not necessarily holy. When a man reaches 45, 50 years of age, he begins to think of, the other world, and mostly out of guilt, they start putting their millions back into temples, dharamshalas, etc. He said that is neither charity nor service. They are only, trying to shrug off their guilt, hoping that this will compensate for all the evils which they did when amassing their ill-gotten wealth. No. Service, he said, if you can bring calmness to another human being, even momentarily, that is higher than the highest service enjoined upon you by the scriptures. So we meditate not for ourselves. Initially, yes. Initially, we do everything for ourselves. This might sound like selfishness to minds not trained to accept truths which are quite divergent from their cultures, where they say no selfishness. This is not selfishness. This is self-isness. Myself must be. It is not yet. Myself is dormant, asleep. So they say, Uttrishta, wake up. I am telling myself. Jagrata, awaken, get up, awaken. Not just get up and bleary-eyed, do that. Awaken and rest not till the goal is achieved. So this prayer or this injunction or this order is given to myself by me. That is the start of civilization, a yogic civilization, a spiritual civilization, first with the individual as we understand it here in India. Once you have achieved something, then starts the process of giving to others. The most famous culmination in all our ceremonies, marriages, birthday parties were traditionally celebrated according to scriptures. Shashtiyam Purti or the completion of 60 years, Shatabhishayam or the completion of 80 years, is Sarve Jana Sukhino Bhavantu. May all people be happy, and calm and peaceful. Sarve Jana, all people, everywhere. There is no distinction of man or woman. There is no distinction of color. There is no distinction of caste. There is no exclusion. In fact, the word Gopala, which is often used for Lord Krishna, is loosely translated as a cowherd, he who protected cows, because Go means cow. But in a higher context, Go means life. So the protector of life, Krishna is not merely a cowherd. He is the protector of all life everywhere. Therefore, he is an avatar of Lord Vishnu, who is the protector among the triumvirate of Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. He is the protector supreme. The avatars are protectors for their particular yugas. So this is at the foundation of Indian culture, Indian philosophy, Indian spirituality. Sarve jana sukhino bhavantu, sarvam mangalani santu. May there be, how do you translate mangalam? Propitiousness, prosperity to all. So you see, often Babuji was asked the question, but Babuji, are you not selfish when we only meditate for ourselves? Babuji said, look here, I am telling you, you start with yourself. You can't give anything until you have it. There is no use telling a beggar, distribute your wealth. He will say, what, you are making a mockery? Or you are trying to have a joke at my expense? What can a beggar do? You elevate him in society, give him a craft or a trade, then you can ask of him 1 rupee for every 100. Isn't it? So you see, that is the secret of the Hindu tradition, the Sanatana Dharma tradition. Sanatana means eternal. Hinduism is not a religion for today or yesterday or tomorrow. It is a religion or a philosophy or a way of life for all time. Yuga Yuga Paryantam, they say. Yuga after Yuga. It is not in our temples. Temples are the grossest form. They are meant for people who cannot conceive of a God within. So they are given idols to worship and said, this is your God, worship him, hoping that he will come out of this kindergarten of worship into something higher, recognize that this is only a symbol of the Almighty and worship of the Almighty through the symbol, and graduate into spirituality. That's why Babuji said, where religion ends, spirituality begins. So religion has a beginning and an end. The beginning is the grossest, sthula worship, as we say, physical worship of idols, of icons, of places, like Ayodhya, where Rama was supposed to have been born. From that you graduate into without temple worship, sit down and meditate. From that you graduate into no meditation, but constant remembrance. But constant remembrance is not the be-all and end-all of spirituality. That too has to go. When you come to a stage, whom am I remembering? There's that famous story of Radha, Krishna's beloved. Once Lord Krishna was away, she was so sad and felt the separation so much that she started saying Krishna, 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 remembrance. And she became Krishna and started saying Radha, 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 Radha. So constant remembrance transforms you into the one remembered. He is there at your side. As Babuji said, remember me and you will find me by your side. But that too is transcended, because now, as Babuji or Lalaji said about Babuji, I am you and you are me. So that none shall say that there is any difference between us. Now who is to remember who? Must Babuji remember Lalaji? Because he will become Lalaji. Then who remembers whom? Lalaji cannot remember himself. So remembrance ceases. Now comes that divine miracle, that divine, blessing, that divine grace in its plenitude. The two are one. No more identities, no more seeking, no more seeker. As I read out yesterday from Babuji's words, where the seeker, the seeking, and the sought all become one. So this is a very short description of what Sahaj Marg is, what our ashrams are for. Our ashrams are precisely for this, not to bicker for position, not for mooching under conveniently shaded trees in the fall of the evening. They may be amenable to all this, but they are not for it. These places are meant for holy approach. What the Germans, I believe, call Heilige, of which the Western cultures are largely ignorant. By going into church and doing this, it's no more holy than putting your slippers somewhere and worshipping them. I was once in Madurai, and I was taking a walk in a large field, agricultural field. They had these markers, for property, stones. One fellow was putting this red paste on it, using flowers and worshipping. I just stood there. I said, "You are worshipping this stone?" Of course, he took umbrage, He said, "Do you mean to say God is not in it? You are from the city?" I said, "Well, I'm unfortunate, I have to live in a city. But even if I were here, I wouldn't worship this stone." He said, "Why not?" I said, "Why is there a stone in the temple for you to worship?" "Well, why not? If that is a stone and you worship, why not this?" I said, "You asked the correct question. Neither should be worshipped." You are a Nastika, is it? City-bred, educated Nastika. I said, "Well, you are obviously an Astika. You are a believer. And now, these slippers, is God not in it?" "What do you mean?" I said, "God is everywhere. Prahlada's father kicked a pillar, Lord, they came out of it. Why don't you worship my slippers? If you believe in what you think you believe, please worship this in my presence and I will say you are a bhakta. Don't annoy me or I'll beat you up." I said, "I only came to offer some advice. Take it or leave it." You see? So they are believers. And as I told you, one of my friends was traveling by train from Trichy to Madras. About 45 minutes out of Trichy, there you cross a river, big river, near Ariyalur. There were people washing clothes on the river bank on stones, washing stones. And in this train, there was a padri with about 30 children, all Catholics. And they were looking at that and saying, "Father, look what they are doing." He said, "Yes, children, the Hindus are stupid. They are corrupt. See that stone, they are washing clothes on, and in the temple they worship it." And then my friend was in that group, not part of it, happened to be seated there. And they looked at him and started laughing. He said, "I don't know your name, Mr. Priest, But why are you laughing at me? He said, well, look at your religion. Stupid, don't you think? Washing clothes here, spitting somewhere on it, using it as tools for your toilet, and worshipping it in a temple. Don't you think it's stupid? He said, well, you know, I can't argue with you. But he said, what do you Westerners do when you meet? He said, we shake hands. Why? It's our culture. He said, why don't you shake legs instead? Legs are not meant to be shaken. They're dirty, filthy things. Yes, but they're part of your body. No? Why should any part of your body be so dirty that you can't shake it? He meant something else. I didn't mention it. He said, if everything is the same, it is convention for us. You know, we are not stupid. We are Christians. We shake hands. And that's about it. He said, no, that's not about it. There are many things you can shake. And it is not illogical or unlawful. You can just say, but brother, it's a part of the body. What matters it if I shake this part or that part? They were terribly annoyed with him, and they got out at the next station frowning. So we had a big laugh when he told me the story. This is the sort of partisan thinking, bipartisan thinking, tripartisan thinking, hypocrisy, the prejudices. And they worship a cross made of wood or gold or diamonds. It doesn't matter. It's as much a symbol, a material symbol of some spiritual existence, highly spiritualized existence. Oh, that is the divine cross on which our holy Son of God was crucified. So how does it become holy? He was, but this need not be, On the contrary, you should wail every time you see a cross and say, my God, this is what our beloved Son of the Father was crucified upon. You worship this? So this is the sort of, the arguments, interreligious, they crop up, they breed hatred, they breed divisiveness among societies, they create wars. So when you come to an ashram like ours, you see, this is to give you peace. This is to give you a certain sanctity, that this is a place where you don't have ulterior thoughts, ulterior motives, where you don't have thoughts other than of, goodness, holiness, and of consummation with the divine, where you eat little, you breathe well, you bathe in fresh, clean water, and you devote all your spare time to introspection, to meditation, and to doing whatever else you have to do, write your diary, read books. In short, not educate yourself, but ennoble yourself, spiritualize yourself. That's why we build these ashrams. Many people ask, why ashrams, for heaven's sake? You will find these in some of the blogs, in Europe. Why ashrams? Chariji comes only to collect money for more ashrams, more and more ashrams. If they did understand, you see, that in India, in the old days, we used to have our farms fertilized by having a whole flock of sheep tied up on the field for 3 nights, so that all that cow dung or goat, things should be on the fields, and it was a natural fertilizer. We had good crops. Then the owner of the shepherd of the flock took it to the next field for 3 nights. He made a little money. The field owner benefited. Agriculture went well. There was no toxins in the food that we ate, Because after all, everything must do something else. Everything is food for something else, says the Vedas, Sarvam annam. Everything is food. This is food for that is food for that is food for that. You find an echo of this sentiment in Shakespeare, in the graveyard scene. And in Omar Khayyam, he says, from what lips which were kissed a million times does this rose spring up? So there's a recycling in nature of material resources. There's no such thing as ugly or smelly or nasty. What you excrete becomes fertilizer for something else, food for something else. I remember my European counterpart once traveled with us to Madurai, Virzanagar, and he saw the pigs, eating human excreta. He said, my God, they eat this? I said, well, tigers eat raw meat. They just kill a deer and eat it. What is inside the intestine of that deer when it is eaten? And I said, Germans eat sausages. What did they contain, those sausages? Isn't it? He could not, he was speechless. He didn't know how to answer my question. I said, Sarvam Annam, says the Vedas. Exactly as I told you today, I told him the same thing. This is what happens. There's an eternal recycling. Only the soul passes through without transformation, life after life, because it was and is and shall ever be a part of divinity. Only the soul goes through this universe in its timeless, eternal existence. It is timeless, not through all time. It is timeless because it has gone beyond the limits of time. It has no space, therefore it goes beyond the limits of space. Space and time do not bind the soul as they do not bind God. Therefore, they have no form, no name, no attributes. Neither God nor the soul. The soul never sins. Then what sins? The body. All virtues and vices, pleasure and pain reside here in the body. Then why do we have a body when we are pure, eternal souls without any of these attributes? People ask Babuji. He said, God wants to do a supreme job of divinizing everything. And when the first soul got ego, same as the Christian tradition, the fall of Lucifer, into Satan, ego, I can do it. From there started the need to go back. Sahaj Marg does not speak of virtual vice, no sins. He said when this ego separated it from the divine kingdom, it had to now unseparate itself from divinity, and therefore comes this need to do, to practice, to merge. This is like a lost child going back to its home. No sin, no virtue, no blame, no praise. It is a fact that it has strayed. It's the bigger fact that it has to come back home where it belongs. So Sahaj Marg, spiritual journeys, yatras, whatever you may call them, are nothing but the soul which has separated itself from home, from its divine home, trying to get back to that home and rest there as it was meant to rest. Therefore, in Sahaj Marg, we don't speak of sin. We don't have the 10 commandments. As Babuji said, they speak of what you should not do. Our maxims only speak of what you must do to get back there. Knock and it shall be opened unto thee is the final. I am at my Father's door. It is unfortunate, that both in the Judaic and the Christian systems, especially in the past, in the Old Testament, you have all these things. Knock and it shall be opened unto thee. My master said, my house has no doors. Anybody who wishes can walk in. But Babuji, don't you think that gives freedom to go out also? He said, yes, a soul must be free to choose. And remember, if you lock yourself in out of fear, you are locking the world out, which is full of potentials for your growth, full of obstacles which can make you stronger, full of experiences which you have to gather before you know this is not my world. And then, like Christ, you can say, my kingdom is not of this world. Not till then. So the world has to teach us. Once I find myself in this, like a prisoner, as Babu says, who is in prison, all his ideas, thoughts, aspirations are how to get out of this place. He plans. He tries to bribe the jailers. He tries to bribe the jail superintendent. He tries to dig holes through the walls. But somehow I must go. That is the state of the soul in our bodies. It is struggling to go, you see. But unfortunately, this ego says, like a dog, quiet. Quiet soul. Down. Yes, good boy. So we, the egotistic self, minuscule S, treats the majuscule S, self, as a dog, when it should be G-O-D. Therefore, Babuji said, D-O-G reverse becomes G-O-D. See? You understand?
Yes.
Now, what do we understand? Now I must awaken that dog and, like a blind man, take its leash and say, Fido, take me to him, and it will do it. So I must blind myself to this world. I don't have to become blind. How do I become blind to this world? By thinking of him all the time. Then I walk through, I don't notice whether this is hell or heaven, whether there's beauty or ugliness, whether there's excreta or food, whether it's cold or hot. I go serenely on. The dog, having become God, is now my master, guiding me along. And I reach the destination fearlessly, effortlessly, timelessly. I remember my preceptor here, Mr. Veera, in the old days. Babuji told him once, he must have sensed something, lack of faith in him perhaps, or lack of confidence in himself. He told Mr. Veera, tie me up like a dog to your gate, and I will protect you all your life. For a master to say, since you cannot accept me as a master, as God, take me as a dog and tie me there. I will serve you, at least as a dog will serve. So the master is there to serve. If not as God, at least as dog. So what must be the humility of that man who can say such a thing to a mere abhyasi who was made a preceptor by him? People should weep when they hear such things. But this tradition of the Guru, which again you find reflected in Christ's life, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. They are stupid, they are foolish. They are like children, playing with fire. Don't punish them. But this is all beyond them. They don't know what they are doing. It's like a child catching hold of a fly and tearing its wings apart and laughing. See? Please forgive them, Lord. Take my life. So he was crucified. So you see, the spiritual tradition is full of suffering. Now when Babuji started talking of suffering to the first Europeans who started coming, suffering, we have a lot of it, Babuji. He said, I'm telling you, you have not even known what is suffering. What have you suffered? You wanted pizza and you got an egg? No? And you wanted a big cake and you got just a small ice cream? And you wanted a double mattress or a double bed, but you got only a single mattress or a single bed? This is your suffering? It is like one of those abhyasis who came weeping, and fell at Babuji's feet and he said, I have suffered loss, Babuji, last year. And Babuji was quite, moved. He said, I pray for you. Then he told me, Parthasarthi, ask him, console him, find out what happened really. So I went with the man, gave him a cup of tea and a samosa, and then said, what happened last year? He said, brother, you are a very sympathetic man. Nobody else asks me. Previous year I made 9 crores profit. Last year I made only 5. I have lost 4 crores in profit. And this he called a loss. It's like a man who says, yesterday I had prime steak. Today I have only 1 egg boiled. We don't thank God for what we have received. We thank the Lord for what Thou hast given us today. This is the Christian prayer. And here is a man who, instead of making 9 crores, made 5 crores. 5 crores is little more than $1 million. And he was weeping. So what should we think? That he's stupid? He was not stupid. That he was a fool? No doubt. That he was a hypocrite? Surely. That he didn't know profit from loss? What would he have? Because when we try to fool ourselves and worse to fool the master into showing a reduced profit as a loss, surely nature will bless us with that which we want loss. And it is not surprising that he went into loss for the next 7 years, year after year, real loss. And he had to wind up his company. So when we tell lies to God, we have a tradition in South India that there is a divinity which says, so be it, so be it, so be it, so be it all the time. No, I want to die, so be it. I want to live forever, so be it. It doesn't know anything else. It's like, like the, fever birds of Africa. What do they call them? They make a noise all the time. Brain fever birds. It drives you crazy. There was one with one movie showing this. Kilimanjaro, I think it was called. So we must always be truthful. Babuji, I lost 4 crores. Not lost, Babuji, but my profit has fallen. He will say, don't give me any donation this year. 5 crores, but he, no. 100 rupees check, no, please. I don't want you to add to your loss of profit. No problem. Look at that, how we treat the world, how we treat luck. Because when you turn away from luck, there comes the opposite of luck. This is our tradition, see. When you deny Lakshmi, the opposite of Lakshmi we call in South India Tamil Moodevi. See? She comes. Because the place cannot be, there can be no vacuum in nature. You send out the good, bad replaces it. You send out good thoughts from your heart, bad thoughts come into it. There is no via media. There is no time when the heart is vacant, because then God would come into it. See? So we don't even give God that time to come in by keeping our hearts empty. There's a continuous procession through our hearts. Therefore, Babuji said, we have made our hearts a caravan. You see. Caravanserai. It's like a station in the desert through which caravan after caravan passes, all the night keep moving. Caravanserai. So this is what our hearts have become. Love after love, lover after lover, disappointment after disappointment, gloating over so-called success. After gloating after success, another gloating over success, then a tragedy, then a transient romance. This is Western art. Indian art? Oh, I don't have enough children, I have only 4. No, my husband doesn't love me enough. My charcoal fire is burning and I have always smoke in my eyes. This sort of thought going on. But all of them have same thought in their hearts. What to do? Meditate, do cleaning, purify your heart, and make it fit for Him. Somebody once asked, what is this purification and waiting mean? He said, suppose you invite a VIP as your guest for dinner. You start cleaning the house right from the morning, big man is coming. You change the curtains, you change the tablecloth, you take the dust off your chairs, you dust the cushions, and at 7 o'clock you lay the table with your finest cutlery and crockery, new napery, and you wait. So we clean and wait. Because coming is at His pleasure. You see, this is the idea of hospitality in India. I may give a time, but the guest is at his liberty to come when he can, when he will. He may not come at all. There comes the famous story of Lord Krishna, I think, who promised to come to the rishis at midnight for dinner. And there they were, bathed in the Ganga, all pure as water, the driven snow, as they say in West, and food prepared with the holy atmosphere, with chanting of mantras, everything ready. Lord Krishna waited. At midnight, a wild boar wandered into the tent, our hut where they were to eat. And the boar is supposed to be unclean in the Hindu tradition, Say, look, sticks and beat it. And everybody felt a blow on their backs with the stick. Then they realized, after the boar had run away, Lord Krishna had come. And then he chastised them. He said, you only look at the form. You are all rishis. Mamma mia, he didn't say because I speak in Italian. You are all rishis, highest in the land. And you don't recognize the Lord because He comes as a pig. Don't you know that I can assume any form that I like? And they felt ashamed. If this is the state of the rishis, what must be our state? If today Krishna was to come with this, silk and his garland and his peacock feathers adorning his golden crown, we'll say he must be some actor, they must be shooting a movie. And everybody will go there and, who's this actor? I've never seen him before. Must be N.T. Ramarao, yaar. But N.T. Ramarao died 10 years back, yaar. Must be some new find. Sir, who's that actor? Oh, he's Lord Krishna. Yeah, I know. He's playing the part of Krishna, but who is he? The only answer can be, it is divinity itself. Now playing the part of Krishna, you are right. Because he has no form, no name, no attributes. But that would fall on deaf ears, and they will say, this fellow is bad. So this is the problem with the modern world. That if God were to come today, if Abraham Lincoln suddenly appeared on the streets of New York, he would be arrested for impersonation. Surely. And if Christ were to be found in Jerusalem, they would crucify him all over again. So what do you mean? We had one and he is dead. The apostles said it. They did not believe. When he was risen from that after 3 days, nobody believed. One man wanted to touch and feel Christ. You see? Immediately after he passed away, not centuries after he passed away. If today he was to appear, not only the Romans, the Jews would stone him all over again. This is the fate of divinity in the hands of humanity, and this is the fate of humanity in the hands of humanity itself, and this is the fate of animals, birds, everything in creation at the hands of humanity all over again. So in the human presence, especially in the modern world, divine suffers, humans suffer, birds and beasts and fishes of the sea suffer, everything suffers, because every human being is a rapist. If you put in $1 into nature, you take out $1 million in the shape of paper, in the shape of timber for your houses. To have a nice dinner, you kill a whole deer and eat 1 kilo of that lovely venison. And in the African elephants, to preserve elephants, you cull off every year so many elephants, shoot them down. And the poacher says, if you can do it, you are culling them, they have a right to live. I am doing it for profit. See, culling elephants, culling whales. We know what is good for the whales. We are human beings. And God said, I give you dominance over the earth. Go forth and multiply. The Judah is gone. So we are doing it with a vengeance. There are laws to protect. Japan flagrantly violates the laws pertaining to whales. WHALES, not WLES. The British violate it for something else. The Norwegians violate it for something else. So everyone is a violator, maybe of a different law all the time, because there are so many laws to violate. What started as the 10 commandments of Moses is today 10 million commandments of man. You shall not cross the boundary into my country. But Lord didn't create, we created it. My government created it. Ich habe gesagt. I have said. Yes. So let it be said, so let it be written. You see how we have taken over God's functions progressively on earth and made God recede more and more until finally he was crucified and buried so that he shall rise no more. This is the tragedy of religion. This is the tragedy of humans practicing a religion. And when will this tragedy be overcome, if at all, permanently? Spirituality must come in its place. People must meditate. People must understand the truth with their hearts, not listen to it with their ears and misunderstand it with their intellect. Thou shalt not kill. Oh, it only means you shall not kill human beings. You can kill elephants, tigers, lions, anything you like, not human beings. But if it suits you, you can kill your brother. You can kill your father who was occupying the throne so that you may come to the throne earlier. You can kill your son so that he doesn't compete for the throne while he's still 18. This has happened in many cultures. Father killing son, son killing father. Because we interpret the law to suit our desires, to suit our wishes, to help us to achieve our aspiration. Spirituality says you have nothing, you have no desires, you are not supposed to have desires. You are supposed to have an aspiration. Aspiration is for growth, desire is for accumulation. You grow, the law says yes. Like Portia said, the law permits it, the court awards it, the divine court. Yes, grow, my son, grow beyond all limit, but there is no limit to growth. In economics, there's a book called Limits to Growth, not under the divine law. There are no limits to growth. Grow all you can, but will there be space? My son, we are not talking of the physical world. Because here, if you are another 4 million population on earth, you will be pushing each other into the sea. We are talking of the spiritual realm, the realm of the divine, where there's no space, there's no time, where Einstein's law is there, of infinity. Bring in infinite more souls, well, the others will move back to an infinite number of places, and you have place all over again for another infinite number of souls. You see? So that is all I have to say this morning. If anyone you want to ask some questions, I am free. Before you ask questions,
Yes, Master.
Babuji had a set rule which he gave to the first Europeans who came way back in 72, 73, you know. He said, ask only those questions which are relevant to your spiritual practice, which are vital to your spiritual existence, and which you must know, not things which you wish to know. And he gave us an example, as silly question as he called it, does God exist?
To follow that, then also I feel that as a preamble I should introduce who this fellow is sitting here appearing with Chariji. He is my master. I will say as a matter of journalistic integrity and to expose my own bias. I am an Abhyasi and a preceptor of Sri Ramchandra Mission. My name is Clark. I'm from America. And first, I would like to ask Master permission to ask you anything.
In violation of my master's rule.
Yes.
You have always been a violator.
No, it may be the kind of question a child would ask.
Okay.
Okay.
I will try to answer.
It may be impertinent, it may be rude, but whatever.
Yes.
You don't have to answer.
I told you I'll try to answer.
Okay, yes, Master. Well, first of all, in what you were just speaking about Christianity and spirituality and religion and spirituality, one thing you mentioned, it was that the body sins, but not the soul.
No.
I can almost hear some theologians going crazy when you
I
say
hope
this.
they will think over it.
They say when Jesus said he changed the definition of sin very radically when he said, if you look upon a woman with lust in your heart, already you've committed sin. Now the body hasn't done anything, but the intention is there.
It is the mind, not the soul. In India too, we have the idea, manasa, vacha, hasta, abhyam, karla, abhyam, udarena, shishna. Manasa with the mind, vacha with the speech, manasa, hasta, abhyam with your hands, padbhyam with your feet, udarena with your stomach, shishna with your organ of sex. If I have sinned with any of these, oh Lord, divinize this water at morning when they do the sadhya, you know. Divinize this water so that by assimilating it in myself, I may burn off those sins. It's the mind which sins.
There you go.
Yes.
See? Okay, clarification number one, because I'm speaking as a obstreperous American. So there is the mind in that mind-body continuum. that does do the sinning. One of the things that I would like to ask, really in behalf of Americans, there is a raging debate now in certain circles whether how are we with the plane?
You go ahead, don't ask questions. There's a raging debate, you are saying.
Yes, Master. Over the need for a guru. I know that Vivekananda is supposed to have said, quoting Shakespeare, sermons in stones, books in brooks, and God everywhere.
Yes.
But he said that only comes to the soul who's already illumined by the human touch, and the guru has to come in a human form. Even in our Christian doctrine, we have Jesus saying, call no man thy master, for one is thy master, even God. And yet they all call Jesus master. The gospel itself, as you've already pointed out, is a perfect example of the guru-disciple relationship, yes. Though few Westerners today see that. What I'm getting toward is for Westerners, and for not Westerners, but for human beings, is there a need for a guru? Is it essential to have?
You see, you should not use the word guru and say, is there a need? Do we need a teacher? Guru in Sanskrit only means a larger person, you see. A larger in the sense of content, you know. He has more inside himself than outside himself. He has more, you know. You go to what do they call it, sensei for karate and all those things.
Yes, Master.
And they say sensei, you know, and they bow before him. So how is it different from accepting a guru for your spiritual life? No?
Well, it's for me, I see myself submitting to a surgeon and I go under anesthesia. I don't know what
That's what Babuji said. When you need a doctor, you need a doctor.
Or a pilot of an airplane that I've never seen.
Or a washerman when you want your clothes washed.
To completely trust
yes.
all the time.
Yes.
But yet in the spiritual realm, and this is partly true in Europe, but certainly true in the
US.
Western
mind, there is a schism between body and soul. They have come to believe through the Platonic existence and Platonic philosophies that the body's needs can be fulfilled only by resort to some other aids. You know, like I need my mother to feed me. I need a mother to bring me into this existence. I need somebody to cook my food. I need work to earn, and there I have a boss. So they have separated the physical, the mental, and the spiritual. Physical needs. Mental also needs because I need somebody to teach me. But when it comes to spiritual, they say I don't need. And here you find the hidden secret that religion is also taken as mental, not spiritual. Because they go to church and they do this before the priest. And the priest says, arise, you know, or go on your knees and read Psalm 164. No? So implicit in this division, or what proves this division, is the fact that religion is also taken as something where you need a priest. When it comes to spirituality, they say, why, how can he touch my soul? No.
Yes. And so we have then in the West neatly compartmentalized our lives
into what we need and where we need.
And we put spirituality as one of those compartments, when in fact spirituality contains...
It pervades all.
Is the set of all sets.
All sets.
Back to the
it is it is not spirituality containing all. Everything contains spirituality.
How is that different, sir?
Well, sugar is sweet. It contains the essence of sweetness. It is the essence of sweetness that matters and not the sugar. Something which appears similar grains of salt. Many a person has taken salt instead of sugar in his morning cup of tea.
Yes. Back to the Guru in one moment, but to shift back to what you were saying about the body, how we compartmentalize this as the body. We take the human body as yesterday you were saying most people think that they have a body, whereas instead they are a body.
They inhabit a body.
Inhabit a body. Could you explain?
Well, you see, in the Middle Ages and subsequently, there was an effort by even scientists to decide or to find out what the soul weighs. So they thought the soul is a substance. So they recognize the existence of the soul because it's patently obvious, When a man is dead, why is he dead? Something has gone out of him. That we call spirit, we call soul, atma, whatever it is. But the effort to weigh it shows that they thought it was still a physical thing, because science believes in molecules, perfumes have molecules, smells have molecules, and according to the quantum theory, everything is molecular and submolecular and subatomic and subparticular physics. So they destroy everything spiritual and bring it down to the opposite end of the spectrum into the most minute parts of physics, beyond and beyond. First the atom, first the molecule, then the atom, then the nucleus of the particle, the electrons. Then the nucleus was broken open into protons and neutrons. That broken into quarks and narks and whatever you have, you see. And where they say the distance between two particles is more immense than the distance between two galaxies.
Yes, yes.
So science is going backwards. Spirituality is going forwards. See, science is going into the Big Bang. Spirituality is going into the infinity of what can be when the universe has expanded to its ultimate configuration. So let us say, using an analogy, you can't ask me, does spirituality indulge in physics? No, it does not. I'm just using an analogy. You see.
I understand.
So we are always in physics trying to find out the origin, Darwin's origin of species, physics, origin of the atom, origin of the nucleus, origin of the particles, origin of space itself. You understand?
I think so. But you're saying the body is mostly emptiness.
I'm not saying that. The body is very much solid. Oh, that is too solid flesh.
Yes.
Your Hamlet said it.
Yes. Yes.
It comes from Western culture.
Yes, Master.
So.
But as you were saying, the space between the particles is greater than that.
Physicists say.
If we go into the quantum world,
yes,
then there's just emptiness.
That's what they say.
So that for Einstein to say, I'm no physicist, but E equals mc squared, energy congeals
into matter.
Yes. And matter is released into a tremendous energy.
Yes. We say, on the contrary, that the universe is filled with God. That God is the ultimate presence, and the universes and the various galaxies are all parts of his inner existence. Like my cells in my body would be thinking they are separate, you see. My antibodies floating about in the bloodstream must be thinking, we are floating. This river is today damp here, you see. It's too narrow when they pass through the arteries, narrower when they pass through the capillaries. A gorge, perhaps. A dum when they come here. Crashes of, what you call white water.
Yes.
What they be experiencing.
Yes.
Which world is true? I think I am one. Inside me, there are millions of things which think they are all alone.
So worlds within worlds.
Within worlds. And when we give up, I don't collapse everything. I expand everything into the divine presence. That's what Babuji said. One day my consciousness must pervade the entire cosmos, the entire universes. Then I am one with the divine consciousness which says, I
And the metaphor of quantum mechanics then talks about something called entanglement, that everything is interconnected. And it's said that quantum mechanics is now bringing the consciousness back into science from which it had been expelled.
Spirituality
for
says
300 years.
the same thing. Everything is one. All life is one.
Yes, Master.
Fundamental dictum of spirituality. Not of leaf shall fall, nor a sparrow fall, says your God.
Yes, except that he knows. Yes, yes.
How does he know? You talk of a spider on a web, sitting in some remote corner. A fly hits. It knows it through the vibrations of the cobweb, of the spider's web. Here there's energy, unlimited, all-pervading energy. So when something happens here, it must go through that field of energy as ripples, waves sometimes. When a big world like the world of Ramayana collapsed, must have sent waves, into that ocean of bliss. When you or I die, there must be something, even then, like a small pebble in a pond.
Yes, Master.
Yet it creates a wave, and he must see it.
Well, Master, I'm straying from your first instruction, I'm afraid, which is to ask practical questions. So I want
No, I also delight in physics.
Thank you. But I want to get back to something very, very practical and down to earth. I had read something, and I may be misquoting, you can correct me, that Babuji Maharaj was asked, what is the difference between the highest conscious being, an avatar, and the ordinary person? And he gave a very simple reply. He said the ordinary person has more coverings.
Yes.
And so, is it true then that each and every one of us is no less human than a master, and a master is no more divine than each and every one of us?
It is true.
So
let us take the analogy of an actor. He has at least one more covering than you and me. His dress for that part. Doesn't he have? When I put on, say, a dress of a nobleman in the old Verona of Shakespeare's times, Two Gentlemen of Verona. So in this acting, knowingly or unknowingly, we are adding more coverings to ourselves. When I have an identity, I have one more covering. When I play a part, I'm a businessman, I have one more covering. Invisibly, but nevertheless there. I am a multimillionaire businessman, one more covering. I am the richest businessman in this world, the final covering. Don't you think they are coverings? And when I divest myself of all these, and one day I say, I am what I am. Which God says.
Yes, Master. And so, by the principle of invertindo, I mean, we all have passports. That's a fact.
Yes.
There's Indians, they're young, they're old, men, women. At another level of invertindo, they're only human beings.
Yes.
Young, old, male, female. Another level higher, male, female, differences go, just souls.
We are human beings.
But all three all these levels are true simultaneously.
Yes, they are like this Russian doll, one within the other, one within the other. Ultimately, you have a tiny doll.
Then the question is, if...
In spirituality, we speak of koshas.
Yes, the sheaths.
Yes, they are coverings.
And if it's so then that the Master is no less human than the rest of us, and no more if it is so that the Master is no less human than everyone else, and you are fully human before us, if we say, let's assume for argument's sake that you are a Master. For me, you are, but for everyone, who knows? I don't know.
I'm a human being.
For you, you're
nobody can deny.
For you, you are the disciple of your Master Babuji, always. But for the rest of us, You are something. So, if the master is no less human than myself or Prakash or Satbir, and is no more divine, or we are just as divine, Prakash, Satbir.
I would put it differently. The master is more human than the others.
More human.
Yes, because he has the essence of humanity in being able to be compassionate, to be loving, to be merciful, which most human beings don't have. He is human in form, but not in essence. So he is more human than human. He is more divine than divine because you have a divine potentiality. He has a divine actuality.
And yesterday you said that to obey the guru is to obey the majuscule self,
Yes.
self.
Yeah.
So the question that I'm working toward then is, why so few make that leap from devotee, from constant remembrance, which must end, from meditation, which must end, from all these which must end, make that leap and become not the master, but master like the master?
Because of the ego.
Because of the ego.
Only. There's no other impediment. No other obstacle. The ego says, you are happy. Look at that guy eating simple food, wearing simple clothes. Do you want to be like that? True blood American. Put on your tux, man. Look at all those pretty girls there waiting to be whatever it is, you know. You are an American. You have the five senses. Why did God give you these five senses?
Enjoy.
To enjoy, yes.
Yeah.
So that preaches, the ego preaches, there's something on my back. So it says, go ahead. Everybody says, does it, and it's right. Why do you listen to this voice in the wilderness? See.
Because
Babuji said to me, the higher you go in spirituality, the lower you must look to humanity. Because you are always human, however divine you might become, until you leave this body. So as long as you are on earth, as long as you have a body, as long as you are human, try to rise above humanity by being the perfect human being, so that at death you will be the perfection.
And so the ego that keeps us there, keeps us through fear.
The ego does not keep us through fear. The ego wants to be dominant. It is afraid of losing its dominant position. So it tempts us with all these things, you know. Seek power, clerk. Go and ask for a raise. Threaten them that you will leave them if they don't make you a director of the firm. And they don't want to lose you because their ego says if clerk goes, my profits will fall. If profits fall, my share value will fall. I will collapse. See, so all egos sit together, fueling each other's egos. Oh, come on, boss, you can give me a raise of $100,000. Well, clerk, you know, I can, but should I? See? Yes, boss, but you know what my projects have done for you.
Yes, Master.
See? So it goes on, you see. Ego is a bar. But Babuji said, without the ego, we will not be aware we are even alive. But the ego must be sublimated until it becomes the still voice, and this inner self with the majuscule S becomes the dominant self, and the battle is over.
So to say ego automatically bad is not correct.
There's no bad ego. There's only the ego.
So ego, once it's no longer a prisoner, an imprisonment, then
It is good.
it
should be your slave, not your master.
Yes.
So as Babuji beautifully praised it, spirituality is nothing but giving up our slavery to the mind, which is the ego, and become the master of our mind when it is a good servant. This is spirituality.
May I try one more metaphor?
Yes.
And I don't want to go too far and tire you.
That will be the last question.
Yes, last one.
Yes.
When we, you know, the famous metaphor of the boat that you get on to cross the river.
Yes.
The Mahayana, the Hinayana, the vehicle, the yana. And it can be applied in so many different ways. You can't ride two boats at once. You know, you have to choose one path, take it all the way. When we first start a spiritual practice, Sahaj, Marg, or whatever it may be, that leap of faith that is talked about. We're jumping onto this boat and we're not sure about it, if it's going to fall over with us, if it's the right boat, if it's going to sink halfway across, all of that. So it just takes sheer desperation to get us off the near shore of the river onto the boat. Okay, we're on the boat and the boat is crossing the river. Now the boat starts getting pretty comfortable. It turns into a houseboat. We have brothers, we have sisters, we have rituals. We go to church, we go to temple, we go to the mosque. We have everything. We're living on the boat. And everybody...
This is only a slightly better boat. Because now you have to throw over the temples because the boat is beginning to sink. You have to throw over the churches, you have to throw over the idols, lighten it, but not the people.
But the people on the boat, our brothers, our sisters, our whatever, our priests, everything, say, stay on the boat. And yet we get somehow to this far shore and we realize it's time now, another leap of faith, to jump off the boat onto that far shore.
Yes.
That is where devotion ends, constant remembrance ends, and then you find people, the saints get crucified, the sheep.
It is not still the far shore.
Oh, it's not?
It is a transitory stop on an island, let us say, which you mistake for the shore. Then you walk across with your canoe on your head like the Red Indian, and you find there's another.
Oh, mamma mia. That's why you need a master.
That's why you need a master. To tell you not this. Talking of faith, there was a young man, let us say in Ramnath district, which is a dry district. He asked a guru, how should I attain the ultimate? He said, go and bathe in the river instead of in this well. So he walked along and he found a 3-foot channel somewhere. He said, surely this is the Ganga. He started bathing there. 10 years later, somebody else came. He said, what are you doing in this canal? He said, no, my guru told me to bathe in the Ganga. He said, fool, this is not the Ganga. Ganga is very far away. Walk further north. He came to the Kaveri, which is a fairly big river. See? He started bathing. Then somebody after 10 years said, what are you doing here? I've seen you here for a long time. He said, no, I'm Ganga. My guru said, bathe in the Ganga. He said, idiot, this is not. That is further north. Ultimately, he died. These gurus all went to judgment with the divine. This soul also landed up there. He was sent to heaven immediately. And these gurus are sent to hell. They said, why? He said, you destroyed his faith. What you think is the Ganga is the Ganga if you think of it with all your heart. It is the heart that matters. Belief is in the heart, not in the head. Your head said, this is Kaveri, this is Ganga, that's a 3-foot canal. You have condemned, that person. I liberate. Babuji said, it's a dreary wasteland of a desert. No attractions.
Yes. And then he said, Lalaji, for this I've come all this way.
And he said, if you don't want it, I will take away that condition. And what did Babuji say? I'll die. Yes.
No, don't take.
So Babuji said, it is that condition having which you have nothing, but without it you cannot live. Thank you.